let's learn how to define a valuation for a company. Now, this is a very important topic that I believe that all founders and entrepreneurs really need to learn about. So if this is something that's new for you, then you definitely want to make an effort to learn and understand what is valuation for a business, how valuations are created and defined, because this is something you're going to be doing a lot for your company, for your startup. If you're planning to raise funds, if you have to talk to investors, and in general to really understand, how your business is growing, knowing and understanding how valuations are created and how they impact your fundraising is very important. Now, investors do this all the time, and I think that it is just really, really important that founders learn how to do the same thing. Now, first and foremost, what is valuation? Would you consider that to be finance, or would you call that an accounting? In my opinion, valuation is an art. It is about storytelling about the future of the business. All right. So in other words, valuation is more forward-looking and accounting is more backwards looking. Now, accountants, what do? They use the numbers, the data that's already available at the organization, and then they tell from that data, from those numbers, what is the health of the organization? How much did this company spend in terms of cost? How much did they get in terms of revenue? What were the profits or losses of the organization for different periods of time? Now, valuation, on the other hand, it is more than accounting, because valuation means looking at what you may think will happen at the business in the future. So there is some storytelling involved in here. There are going to be projections that are going to be used here. And from all of that, we will define a valuation from a business. So when we do valuations, and when investors typically use valuation techniques and they are trying to build valuations for a company, they not only look at the projections to tell what may happen in the future, but the way they do it is they use the data that's already available at the organization. And if not at that organization, perhaps at another similar organization within the industry, that has kind of already passed through that stage the startup is at right now. So they use that accounting data and they use the projections and they club those together and define a future valuation. So valuations, remember, it takes a bit of a practice, a little bit of learning about the techniques, and it's really, really important that we stay kind of realistic with our projections. All right, that's where people get carried away. So for that reason, a lot of times valuations really don't turn out to be as, expected for a lot of companies, especially the startups. So valuation, again, is an art more than, science. Now, in this course, we are going to talk about how all of these different parts of a business are supposed to be valued, how you can do that for your company, how do investors value a business. So we'll look at all the different techniques, the popular techniques that are used by the angel investors, the venture capitalist companies, the more mature investors who like to invest in the more mature companies. So we'll look at a set of different popular techniques that are used primarily by the VCs. And then from that, we'll learn which are the most commonly used ones and also talk about how to use it for ourselves as founders in order to define those valuation numbers. Because understand that investors will come up with a number as a value for your company, but how do you know whether that is the right value, right? So you have to learn this for yourself and be able to understand how valuation is defined for a company. Even if you're not planning to do this by yourself, that's totally fine. But having the knowledge and understanding of these valuation techniques and concepts is really, really important for a founder. And I feel like this is one piece of knowledge and information that is always missing from the founder's journey. It is always the investors who know how to define valuations, and the founders are kind of left in the dark. So the investor's telling you a number for your company, but all right, so let's just go with it, I guess, because you just don't know how those values were defined or how you could do the same for your company. So it gets a little tricky, especially the younger your company, the more uninformed the founder is in this concept, in this topic.